this is like,
That's crazy.
we vested the property in an entity called Clock Tower Closers, because you can actually see the clock tower right there. So my whole theme was based upon Peaky Blinders. I'm like a huge
Yes, man.
Yeah, it's
When did you build? When did you do all this? Like, when did you?
So we bought it in 2020, I believe, and then it was between 2020 and 2021. I think we finished it. But we really took our time. Like we knew the feel that we wanted. We knew exactly what we wanted to achieve with it, and we went and literally, my partner and I, we sourced all the materials really ourselves for the most part, for the basics of it. And then Julie, who I just referenced, and also we talked about yesterday on the podcast, who owns a company here in Tacoma, she was the final designer of everything. Like, she came in and did this living wall and the fluffing of it to make it look real rather than fake. You can kind of see how there's depth to it.
Yep.
And so she was just a real great talent visually.
Hosting us tonight here at the office, like, I was just telling Emily that, like, I don't have enough of this in my life where getting with industry friends and colleagues, like, it's like we work all the time and it's like you lose touch. How important is this to you right here?
I feel like it's my duty to bring everyone in the business together in a non-corporate environment, to have a blast and to have fun and let loose, and that's really how the deepening of the relationships go. So to me, it's rare to get those opportunities, because in commercial real estate, the majority of the events are very corporatized. So doing this allows for those relationships in an unmonitored environment to really be cultivated.
I'm Reed Fetters with Tacoma Rising, and we're starting off season 3, Tacoma Titans, with my good friend Jake Wilson with Crux. How you doing, Jake?
Another beautiful day in the neighborhood.
Well, good. Well, I like it. Well, thank you for joining me on the mic, man. We've been talking about this for some time, and I finally sucked you. I don't know how I did. I don't know how I sucked you into it, but I did. I'm really glad I did. So thank you for doing this.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for having me. Excited to be a part of it.
Well, thank you. And let's just jump right into it. Tell me about Crux. What is Crux, and how did it get started? How did you get it started?
Yeah, so Crux is a commercial debt brokerage. Started roughly about 7 years ago. Started it with a guy that I knew for a really long time. I worked at U.S. Bank for many years with him. His name's Rob Hawkins, very close friend of mine. We dreamt it up over many cocktails on my porch years and years and years ago.
The story of my life. You know how many ideas? I'm not kidding you. It's funny because you don't know Jeff Minchef, but he's my partner in a lot of stuff we do, and he and I have had so many of those conversations over cigars and cocktail or old fashions and stuff. And Quentin, who's back in the studio, like, we all sit around. I feel like that is where you get that stuff going, and I totally cut you off. So go ahead.
No problem whatsoever. For us, it was Chivas, and I don't know that I can drink that anymore because I drink so much of it so many times. But regardless, we dreamt it up, and then eventually was doing a lot of deals for the top commercial loan brokers around the Pacific Northwest, and we realized that there were some different ways to do things that were potentially a little bit better. And after having some success on the bank side, we decided to take some risk and put it on the chopping block to go out on our own.
So you were at U.S. Bank prior. I didn't know that.
Yeah. I was at U.S. Bank for like a decade or something longer than that. And then actually after that, I went from there and I opened up on a commercial business banking side, Bank of the West in the Seattle market. And then from there, went out on my own.
And from when you said 7 years ago, you started Crux?
Yep, roughly. I mean, I think a little bit less.
7, 8 years.
Pretty much 7 years. Yeah.
When did you get to the point, or how long did it take to where you're like, shit, we got something solid here. Let's go.
Yeah, Well, there's different stages, right? So out of the gate, we knew that we had a good plan. So pretty early on, we knew that it was an executable plan. Obviously, it's taken a little bit more of a life of its own since then. But really, it didn't start out with this huge grandiose plan. It kind of just, one thing led to another, and now all of a sudden, the way I like to look at it is we went in with a plan to basically intercept banker-to-banker referrals.
Okay, from when you launched Crux, which was about 7 years ago, how long did it take to where you thought, man, this is a solid plan, we got something here?
Yeah, so, we knew really early on that we had a pretty good plan of attack. However, there's different stages along the way of kind of recognizing where we're at and then where we're going to go and or pivot to. But really early on, it was the plan was we grew up with a lot of the top bankers around town, or around the Pacific Northwest, I should say. So we knew that they were getting deals that they couldn't do. So they would have to either send them to another bank or to another source or just turn them away. So the plan was to go to those bankers that we knew and were our buddies and get the deals they couldn't do from them and then place them with lenders that could do them, which was really great. But what happened thereafter was a little bit more than we had anticipated. So what happened was we were getting these deals sent over to us with really short timelines, and commercial real estate brokers' commissions were going to die if these deals didn't get done. So what happened is we would end up closing those loans with short timelines, and we would end up being the hero in the commercial real estate broker's eyes. Well, shortly thereafter, the commercial real estate brokers realized that if they sent it to us out of the gate, then all of a sudden it de-risked their commissions being potentially gone on the deal from a financing perspective. So they started sending us the deals. We're getting the deals from the commercial loan broker or the commercial lenders around town, and it just snowballed from there. And now it's turned into something that's pretty sizable and pretty special. And there's a lot of different moments in time. I would say that probably the best moment is once I had built up my personal team that supports me to a certain level. It was really an unstoppable force because no one can really compete with the resources that I bring on the mortgage brokerage side because they don't have the machine built to the level that we have it built. And it's really hard to stop that rolling ball when it's going down the hill.
For sure. And if I'm understanding it correctly, when deals would go to a bank, that bank is limited. So you're having to shop around banks, and deals get lost because they can't finance it. A commercial real estate broker brings it to you. You're shopping that for them, and you're going to get that done, and they don't have to worry about it because the success rate that you have, it's a no-brainer at that point.
Exactly. It's their commission on the line. So what I always like to say is, hey, if I'm a commercial real estate broker, why would I risk my entire commission in betting that this one bank that I'm going to send it to is the right fit for this credit profile? They haven't even reviewed the credit. They don't even know what the box says to the lender. They just like the guy at the bank.
Right.
But they're betting literally their entire commission on that. And we can de-risk that for them and make it to where they also have eyes wide open about what's really going on with the transaction, because we're going to be very direct with them. We're going to be very direct with the borrowers, and just that's the right way to do business. So that's what we're going to do. And because of that, it allows everyone to not have false expectations about the transaction, and it just allows for more smooth business.
How many commercial real estate brokers, and I don't expect an actual number, but I'm guessing it's quite a few. How many brokers are bringing deals to you now versus is it more and more? Do you have a lot? Do you have a go-to group that?
There's all of the above, right? We have a go-to group. Lots of commercial real estate brokers around the Pacific Northwest. Obviously, that's really our bread and butter. That's where we do the lion's share of our business. But really, because of social media, and I have a pretty large following on LinkedIn, I get deals from all around the country from people that I don't even know, you know? So it's pretty amazing the traction that social media can build for you. And not only that, but people hear that we close deals, and that, you know, I can't tell you how many calls I've gotten from people that I didn't know that are like, hey, you know, I follow you on LinkedIn. I feel like I know you, you know, and that's really cool, because it feels like, you know, you're impacting them, and you're kind of speaking from what they want to say and hear.
I see you on social media all the time, golfing and all sorts of stuff. Do you work ever? Is it mostly fun? I mean, I'm obviously joking, but I do see a lot of your, we've talked about this, a lot of creativeness on the social media, and I think it's fun to get on there and do some different things to get people excited, get them hooked, not hooked, but get them intrigued on what you're going to do next, because you're unpredictable, and I will see something random come up and I'll just start laughing. I was like, Jake, that's great. But that's good. Social media is like, it's taken off to where we depend on, Tacoma Rising depends on social media a lot too, and it's something that we've tried to figure out how to navigate through, because when we do podcasts and we do events and stuff, getting that out, we love seeing all those new hands go up. And when I say, has anyone been, raise your hand if you've not been to like an event or whatnot, and it's cool to do that. Social media is good. And when I asked this last question, when did it feel like, you know, you were moving forward, you were there, you've made it, let's grow kind of thing? You've got more than one location. You're not just in Tacoma. What other cities are you in? Yeah,
so we're in Tacoma, Bellevue. Yes. We have a location. We have one in Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Why Milwaukee?
We have a really great, talented partner out there.
Did you send someone out there you didn't like, or is it? I'm just kidding.
That would be a reward based upon how he's doing. No, he's crushing it. Yeah, it is. In fact, I was lucky enough to go out there with him when Milwaukee beat Phoenix in the finals, and I was there for the final game, and it was, holy cow, the city just erupted. It was a blast.
It's a cool town. That's the whole area. I mean, I throw that in the Chicago area. I love that. I love it all out there. So I'm totally kidding on that. And I'm from Indianapolis, so not far from Chicago. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Chicago. I spent a lot of time up in that area.
Yeah, our partner out there, the guy is just phenomenal. He's a U.S. Bank guy from back in the day, top performer at U.S. Bank for probably over a decade straight, you know, out of everyone in the entire U.S.
That's incredible.
And he's built up a team, and he's just doing it his way, and I love it, and I love him, and it's really exciting to watch him just flourish, you know, and have it take a life of its own, you know, under him. So, and then we got an office in Phoenix as well. You know, I come back and forth between Phoenix and Seattle, as you know. And then also we have a really talented guy out of Portland too.
So 5 cities. You're in 5 cities at the moment. Nice. We're looking in Portland right now to do some stuff down there. I've got an urban work office that we're building down there, so we've got some exciting news about Portland coming up that we'll have to talk about soon. But I feel like Portland's that town that it needs. I think it needs some help down there, but I think there's a lot of potential down there, and I really like what I'm seeing happening down there on our side of stuff. So I'm excited to get down there. I'd also like to be in Phoenix. So that's something else we need to talk about too. Being a snowbird going down there?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, exactly.
It sounds like a tough life, man.
It's the best of both worlds, man. Gotta do it.
So you've talked about this in the past, and you have an engine that doesn't stop, and you're always. And my feelings, you either come with us, keep up, or you're just not the right fit.
Yeah. So
when we talk about, you know, core principles for Crux, what are your core principles that you like to push to your team?
You know, at the end of the day, everyone's going to make mistakes first and foremost. I think that's really important, to make mistakes along the way. So understanding that, but giving maximum effort is definitely one. And falling forward on those mistakes, learning from those mistakes. Self-reflection is really, really important to me. Do you realize what your involvement in the issues were, and what are we going to do about it in the future? Doing the right thing really is above all, you know. Communicating extremely well, good or bad, owning the results is really important. And then lastly is just relentlessness.
Yeah.
You know, we got to relentlessly pursue execution, and, you know, not stopping until we do, regardless of the obstacles along the way.
Well said. But what key principle does this infamous annual beer pong tournament fall under?
That is relentless pursuit of fun. You know, so originally when we started Crux, the whole goal was to, we had this group at US Bank a long time ago. You know, you can tell it kind of all centers around that back in the day. We had this really great group of people who built like a brother and a sisterhood together.
Yes.
We would always take the annual trips together, and we would always end up on vacations together. And it was just this really special thing. So originally when we built Crux, it was, hey, how do we recreate that and do it our way rather than the bank's way, and not have all the corporate strings attached? And that was the goal. And this is a example of one of the things that came about because of that. You know, there's a period where we did an annual cruise up to Vancouver, and, you know, there's lots of shenanigans and fun things that happen there.
Of course.
You know, and then...
well, then you nailed it then. If you were trying to, how do we get away from it? What could we do here that you couldn't possibly do at U.S. Bank or this corporate place?
We kind of like to be the anti-corporate, right? Like, it's not... I mean, we're in a professional setting, but at the same time, like, we want to be real people. I feel like corporate America has gotten a little too structured and a little too, you know, whatever. And this is a way to bring everyone in the commercial real estate world. I feel like it's my duty to bring everyone in commercial. Exactly.
This is when you talk to that camera and you say, I told you earlier, when you have that moment, you get in that camera, you tell the audience.
No, I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you. I feel like it's my duty to bring the commercial real estate brother and sisterhood together.
Agreed.
In the Pacific Northwest, to have no corporate setting, party down, have a great time, make great connections. At the end of the day, that's when the best connections are made, is in non-corporate settings.
Agreed.
And to me, this was a homage to that. And, you know, we've done a lot of different things over the years. We did poker parties, but the beer pong's the ultimate.
I've heard so many, like, I can't even tell you how many people asked me last year or this year in February, are you going? And I'm like, going to what? And they're like, Jake Wilson's beer pong tournament. I go, oh, what is it? And he's like, oh yeah, there's people flying out of town. The people from the East Coast. And I'm like, for a beer pong tournament? And they were explaining it to me. Brandon, is it Mason?
Brandon Mason.
He told me about it, and then we've got so many friends that are connected. I kept hearing about it, and I was like, I gotta go check this out. But I couldn't go to this last time. I'm definitely gonna make it this coming February. I just want to experience it. But then I saw it on social media and stuff, and I just couldn't help but laugh and be like, you know what, that's cool.
But there isn't an expense spared. I mean, we do it the right way.
That's the perfect way to say it. There was not an expense spared.
It's got to be done to perfection. And you know what? Julie Hale, have you met Julie? She's from Tacoma. She owns a business in Tacoma. You should meet her. She owns an event company, does work with Amazon and Meta and like all the big companies. Seattle Seahawks, she does their stuff. She takes this on as a fun project, even though it's kind of a small budget for her. And she is a beast when it comes to this stuff.
I have met her. I met her at Brandon Mason again, had a U.S. Bank kind of event dinner kind of thing. And she was there. And that's where I first learned about it, because they were, Brandon, I think, someone brought it up. And I was so like, wait, what is this? And anyway, but to that point, there's one thing that it's like I've always done this, and I didn't realize I was doing it for a long time, but I always want to be friends with the people I work with. Yeah. Like if I'm working with you and we can't go out and do stuff, and I don't want to call you on the weekends and hang out, or we go do stuff, I don't really want to work with you. Like, it's not that I don't want to work with you, but I prefer to work with those types of people, because you build a bond and trust and all those things that come with it. And I think that's exactly very similar to what you're doing. It is exactly what we strive to do. And it's what we talk about internally. In fact, we had a conference call yesterday internally, and that was a lot of the topic, is like, you need to build relationships to where you care about those guys personally and professionally.
and the opposite. And that's when real magic happens, and you can't force it. It just has to happen naturally over time. You're going to gravitate towards the people that you like automatically anyways. And that's where real business magic happens.
So with that tournament and a lot of the other things that you do, you've got people outside of your core group that are coming.
Absolutely.
Why? What is it about the event that you think people are flying from out of town for? Like, what do you think that spark is that gets people there?
Oh man, well, number one is I'm a pretty good promoter.
Yes, you are.
So we make a real effort. We send out. We don't do it in a small way. We send out a physical mail invite to every single real estate broker in the Pacific Northwest. There's 2,000 invites that went out last year. We do an email campaign. We do phone calls to everyone. We had roughly 350 to 400 there this last year.
That's impressive.
And at the end of the day, we flew out Bob Knackel. He's the biggest commercial real estate broker in the history, I think, of the entire U.S. to just be there and meet everyone. So that obviously had something to do with it. But at the end of the day, now that we've done this a few times, people know what to expect, and they know that it's going to be a great time. So it's on people's calendars pretty much as soon as we launch it. And also, I think they just have so much fun with everyone else that it's like, hey, we can't miss this. I mean, in fact, I think Kidder Matthews had their annual shareholder meeting that day, and the higher-ups were a little upset because everyone migrated. Instead of partying together, they ended up all coming to the beer pong tournament.
I remember that. That's hilarious. I think that's I love that. I think the touch, the personal touch that you put on that, like getting a letter in the mail, getting certain things that you feel like they want us there. And I believe that you do want them there. You want to bring that community together, and I think that's really cool. And I feel like it's a mixture of a lot of stuff, but I didn't realize that you put so much into promoting this and getting folks there.
It's not only that. We start like 4 months in advance planning it. I mean, I have weekly calls planning this thing, and it's what's really tough about it is the timing of it. Because you got to think, beer pong can last a long time. So we had to literally practice how long does a game take with this many cups to strategically make sure, because you can't be there all night. It's got to end at a certain point.
And it's a terrible thing to have to practice to get it right. Nobody wants to do that.
A lot of painful next days. Story of my life.
Who won it this last year? Do you remember?
Oh yeah, it was Sage Investment Groups, my biggest client.
That's awesome.
It was the best part so it was Drew Frame. I
know Drew.
So Drew and one of his best buddies who's also a Kidder agent. It was them versus my biggest client. And then, my biggest client won. So it was kind of a dream situation for me at the end. I'm like, okay, this worked out perfectly. Like,
I remember Drew being in like towards the end of it, or I wasn't. I just remember that they're like it was word of mouth, and I saw some stuff online. It was just funny. I saw Drew and I instantly started laughing, but I knew he ended up getting close to the end.
He wasn't happy. Because what happened was there's a rule that if you make it in the same cup, so if both players shoot and you make it in the same cup, it's game over. And that's what ended up ending it. So it was like it was a dramatic, and it was perfectly executed. Like you can't even plan it. It was like, okay, a little drama at the end too. Like he's pissed. I was like, okay, this is great.
That's competition at the best. That's funny. Well, let's get back to the leadership.
Sure.
What does leadership look like for you today? Like, as you've evolved and you've got multiple locations, and you mentioned that you get that ball rolling and that momentum going. What does leadership look like today? Yeah,
so I would say that leadership today is connecting with your people, making sure that all obstacles are taken away from them. That's what I kind of look as my job is. I got to take all obstacles away so they can perform at their best, within reason, of course, and what makes financial sense. That's number 1A. Number 2 is making sure you're connected, making sure people are having fun. It's a really under-realized aspect of business is the culture. I mean, culture is not under-realized, but the fun aspect of it and not making it too businessy all the time. So that's really important. But at the same time, having everyone have expectations, that they are expected to hit every single week, month, whatever that time frame is, holding them accountable to that, and then also communicating along the way about what the shortfalls are, what we could have done better, all those things that we were talking about earlier, that are really the core values and or principles of the business. That's what really the focus is. And then also watching the metrics, doing the analytics behind it. We have a really great CRM that we've created that has really impacted us. Like, we just got done with it probably like 2 years ago or maybe a year ago. I'm bad with time, but that has been the data that we have now compared to before is exponential in our ability to manage effectively. And we're doing some really cool stuff with AI too that I'm really excited about.
AI has been a game changer.
Oh,
Like I've written curriculums. I've done so much stuff. It saved me days, weeks.
Yeah.
And it's like it's scary what it can do, but I'll tell you what, it's super convenient when you got that stuff. Like but I've been working with AI for the last months, and it's been a huge tool that someone had to talk me, and they're like, "Hey, you need to do this." I was like, fine, I'll take a look, and I started working with it and growing. It's like having a think partner. Like, it's like talking to not to myself, but like having conversations about what I'm looking for and giving me feedback, and saving me so much time of not having to process everything and all that time. It's nuts. I'm giving you. You didn't ask for it, but this is my response to AI. This is how leveraging it.
At the end of the day, it's not. There's a lot of talk. How many humans is it going to replace? It's going to replace, the lower level people.
Yeah.
There's not much question about that. But really, what it's going to do is make everyone else that much more efficient. Yeah. And that's what we're seeing on our end. Is we're just trying to make our people as efficient as possible by utilizing it in the right way. Because our people are great. The last thing we want to do, we want to grow those people, not take away from them, but we want them to be able to do triple as much work.
I think it's going to make the people that want to be better.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's going to create a gap between I think it's just going to help the people that are really trying to push it's going to give them more firepower or horsepower to get to that next level, and that's the way I see it. I'm sure there's going to be all sorts of things that come out of it, but I would say over the last 10, 15 years, it's been the best tool that I've been able to embrace quickly and had such a good result from it, which I don't know why I've gotten so far off in AI on this conversation, but it's been hearing other people use it. I'm kind of like, it is really interesting how it's kind of shaped and formed stuff.
I think it comes down to how you implement it within the business, right?
Agreed.
And what is its purpose? Anyone can plop in some questions into it, but how is this going to make me more efficient is really the ultimate question. And, can it? What do I got to do to get there? We work with a team over in India that has helped us basically create models that we've implemented, and the amount of time savings for some of our people, it's massive.
I use it to kind of push me in a way. Like, I'll put information in, I'll hear it back, and then I'll rethink, and I say, no, I want this. Great point. It's like having a conversation with someone that's receiving it, thinking kind of in the same lines that you are. It's pretty wild what it can do. Anyway, I'm glad we were able to kind of diverse on that, and I could really explain how I'm using AI way off the topic here. Last question, and this is kind of the direction I want this season to go. Is I'm an entrepreneur. You're an entrepreneur, and I believe there's a mindset shift from when you're an entrepreneur to when you need to step in that role of more of a CEO. And as businesses grow, you've got to figure out what does that look like, because you have to, if you want things to grow, you've got to make a shift. What does that, or assuming that you've had a shift like that, what has changed for you? What hasn't changed? What does that look like as you've had to, start something, create something, and then now grow it?
Great question, first and foremost. I would say that it shifts into a focus on developing people, as in the CEO role, really the primary goal is to create leaders.
Exactly.
And that has been a lot of the focus over the last years. My team would tell you that I'm pushing them to be outside their own comfort zone. In fact, right before I came here, I met with one of my guys, and he was telling me about how much more direct he is than he was years ago, you know, and it's really important to push people to, what I always like to say is it's my job to push you to the edge to where you're so uncomfortable, you're about to say, fuck you, Jake, I'm done. And then reel you back in, because that's where the growth happens, when you push someone to their outer edges to where they can barely stand it anymore. And now all of a sudden you've created a new edge.
Right.
And to me, that's the primary duty, is if we're going to be great, it's not going to be me, it's going to be us.
Exactly.
And you guys have to do your part. We have to set the right expectations. We have to hold each other accountable and perform at our best and live and die by the sword, you know? So we're in battle together. We're out there. But really, it's about being connected with them all the time, knowing exactly where they're at in their development plan, and also where I'm at in my own, what my own shortfalls are, and how do we plug all those holes along the way to make sure that we're propped up and able to understand who we are, and what we need to be in order to maximize our own potential.
I've got to say, that's one of the best answers I've heard. Being able to push your team's boundaries to where they can grow at an effective rate, but also being there for support and when they need that support. Like keeping them, like, I feel that if you're focused on the growth of your people more than your own growth, and you're focused on what can I do to help them, because you have the best people in those positions, but your goal is to make them better and make them, like, you know, like push them enough, like you said, to keep them getting better and better and better. But then when they get to that point, you're there for the support and, like, listen, if it's tough loss or great win or whatever it is, you know, beer pong parties, all those things that keep people, that they've, like, listen, this shit's hard, but I got a group of people that believe in me, push me, and they're there for support, because you're only making them better for them to have more success. And if your team looks and sees that, that's a winning team.
They absolutely do. And also, we realize when we're off on what, you know, the position is with someone. Not everyone's meant for everything, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that, you know? So we don't push on where they shouldn't be. We push on where they should be, and focus on those things. And then we plug those holes with new individuals or someone else who can step up into that part of the position to fill those gaps. The other thing we like to do is we like to have overlaps with the roles and cross-train, so that if anything does happen, you know, someone has a loss in the family or whatever it may be, then we don't miss a beat. And it costs a little bit more for us because we're probably oftentimes a little overstaffed, I would say. But guess what? It's the best and right thing for the clients.
And that's what matters, is if you can put out a really good product, whatever the product is, or performance, and those moments, like if someone's out, like I've run into this problem where you've lost a team member and you could have lost a client, could have lost, you're potentially going to lose more in those instances because you weren't prepared than you would overall of what your loss is by having that extra preparation. Does that make sense? Like,
absolutely.
I think
it's hard to measure.
It is.
Though. It's hard. Everyone always likes to equate expense to revenue. Well, guess what? That's not how business actually works. You know, and
a lot of times it's your gut, and you try to do whatever's right, and you keep pushing. And I think the best measure is that when you have really good clients that come back and appreciate those things, and you know that they do, it's worth it. That cost is worth it, in my opinion. So
absolutely.
Yeah. Man, well, you nailed all these questions, man. I gotta say, I'm going back through them. It's like, shit, solid A on this one. But no, man, I really do appreciate this, and this was a lot of fun, and I got to learn a little more about you today, which was always nice, and I really do appreciate you coming on and first jumping on the podcast, but second, being involved with the Shark Tank event in February, which you got to make sure it's not the same day as the we usually do the last
you got to make sure, not me.
When I say we, our team needs to make sure it's not the same day, because that would be shitty. Anyway, but thank you, man. I really
absolutely,
appreciate
man.
it.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, for anytime. We'll have you back on soon when we do Uncut.
Hell yeah, let's go.